You know that feeling. The buzz in your pocket from a number you don't recognize. It's become this constant, modern-day dilemma. Sometimes it's just an annoyance, but other times it can be a genuine threat. So today, we're going to dive into this together and figure out how we can start taking back our phones from this world of unwanted calls. Right? This is a question. We all face it, probably a few times a day. We're all taught to be a little suspicious, and for a very good reason. But, what if it's an emergency? What if it's actually important? The stakes are way higher than you might think. And the answer? Well, it's not always so simple. For some people, making the wrong choice can be absolutely devastating. This is a real story, and honestly, it's terrifying. What happened here is that scammers used tech to make the call look like it was coming directly from Chelsea's mom's phone. See, this isn't just about annoying sales calls anymore. We're talking about sophisticated fraud that plays on our deepest fears, and it is costing Americans billions of dollars. Okay, so to really get our arms around this, we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at just how big this problem really is. Then, we're going to pull back the curtain on the technology that scammers are using to get to us. After that, we'll learn how to tell the difference between a so-called harmless prank and a seriously dangerous scam. And most importantly, I'm going to walk you through your own personal toolkit for fighting back, and we'll cover exactly when it's time to get the law involved. So yeah, let's start with the sheer scale of this thing. It's way more than just an interruption during dinner. Like we just saw with Chelsea's story, these calls are specifically designed to cause real financial and emotional damage. They're chipping away at our trust in a piece of technology that's supposed to connect us. So, why does this keep happening? Why does it feel like it's getting worse? Well, the short answer is technology. Scammers aren't sitting there dialing one number at a time anymore. They're using these powerful internet-based tools to make millions of calls at once, to hide who they are, and to dodge the authorities like pros. All right, first up, robocalls. And look, if you remember one thing about these, make it this. If you get a call and it's a recorded message trying to sell you something, it is illegal. Full stop. Unless you have personally given that specific company written permission to call you, they are flat out breaking the law. Now, this is the digital mask that makes so many of these modern scams work. It's called caller ID spoofing. It lets criminals basically fake the number that pops up on your screen. So they can pretend to be the IRS or your bank. They can even make it look like the call is coming from your own area code. That's a trick called neighbor spoofing, which, makes you way more likely to pick up. They are literally banking on that little flicker of trust your caller ID gives you. Which kind of brings us to a big question. What happened to the do not call registry? I mean, it used to be a pretty solid defense, right? And it still works for legitimate telemarketers. But here's the reality. Criminals who are trying to steal your money, they just don't care about a government list. They use tech like spoofing to waltz right past that shield, making it a lot less effective than it used to be. So you have to remember that not all unwanted calls are created equal. If you can understand the different types, you can recognize the threat you might be facing. Is it just a dumb joke, a persistent annoyance, or is it a serious attempt to rip you off? Let's take a look. But before we dive into the different types of calls, I just want this number to sink in for a second. $40 billion. That's how much money Americans are estimated to lose to phone scams every single year. This isn't just a few bad actors, it's a massive criminal enterprise. And this just shows you how quickly things can escalate. A call might start as a so-called joke, but it can really easily turn into illegal harassment. From there, it's not a big leap to financial scams, which are basically just theft. And then at the most extreme end of the spectrum, you've got something called swatting, a fake 911 call that can and does have deadly consequences. This story just perfectly captures the collateral damage of living in this scam-filled world. A hiker who was lost for 24 hours did exactly what we are all trained to do. He ignored calls from a number he didn't recognize. He was so used to getting spam that he missed the calls from the actual rescue team that was trying to save his life. Our collective distrust is now having very real and very dangerous consequences. Okay, enough about the problem. Let's talk about solutions, because you are not powerless in this fight. There are real practical things you can do right now on your phone to drastically cut down on the number of junk calls you get. For all you iPhone users, this feature is an absolute game changer. Just follow these steps, turn on Silence Unknown Callers. Any number that's not in your contacts will go straight to voicemail. It won't even ring. If it's important, hey, they'll leave a message. If it's a scammer, your day isn't interrupted. Simple as that.
And Android users, don't worry, you are not left out. You've got a very similar power tool. By following these steps to block unknown numbers, you can stop all those private or unidentified numbers from ever getting through. It's another super simple fix that makes a huge difference.
But what if a call does get through? Okay, you need to remember these 3 golden rules. First, just hang up. Don't engage with them. Don't say anything. Second, whatever you do, don't press any numbers. That just confirms your line is active, and trust me, it will lead to even more calls. And finally, try to avoid saying the word yes. Scammers can actually record your voice saying that to authorize fraudulent charges. Now, reporting these calls is so important. I know, it can feel like you're just shouting into the void, but you're not. The FTC and the FCC, they use this data to spot patterns and track down the people behind these scams. Every single report you file is another piece of the puzzle that helps them build a case. You're not just protecting yourself, you're helping everyone. Okay, now we have to talk about the point where this all escalates from just an annoyance to an actual crime. A lot of people think of prank calls as, harmless fun. But the law sees it very differently once certain lines are crossed. And the penalties? Well, they can be really severe. This chart makes it crystal clear. Just repeatedly calling someone to annoy them, that can be charged as harassment, and you could face jail time. In a state like California, just recording a call without the other person's consent isn't some minor mistake. It's wiretapping, a potential felony. And look at swatting. That can carry a federal penalty of up to a decade in prison. These aren't jokes. They are serious crimes. And this is the ultimate tragic cost. A swatting prank that started over a dispute in an online video game led the police to the home of Andrew Finch. He was a completely innocent man who had absolutely nothing to do with it. He was shot and killed by police on his own front porch. It's just the most horrific reminder that these are not victimless crimes. So as this technology just keeps getting better and better, with AI that can mimic any voice perfectly and spoofing that's harder and harder to detect, we're left with this really critical question. The answer is probably going to rely on some new technology, but mostly it's going to rely on us, on our own vigilance. So stay skeptical, stay safe, and use the tools you have to take back control of your phone.